All right, so I I tried to make a couple other videos on my regular camera and it wasn't work. So I'm going to try my phone and see what happens. I just wanted to show you a few of the different kinds of graphs that you can get. You know, like when you look at the graphs, just remember that you're going to break the graph up into regions on each side of the vertical asymptotes. And every region has to have or will have a piece of a graph. You won't have two pieces of the graph in one region. So notice like I have one piece on the left and one piece on the right. If it's in the middle, I have a left, a middle, and a right. And the direction that they go can all change depending on what you have. But how you decide which way they go depends on where things cross through. Meaning you can only cross an axis if you have an intercept opening. So when I look at a problem like number one, and I'm just going with the results. So I did all my steps. I factored it. I found the x-intercept. I found the y-intercept. I found the vertical asymptote. I found the horizontal asymptote. And then I put all those pieces on the graph. And these are the things that I just sort of made up. Like this is a situation that I'm left with. So in this first one, these are smooth curves. And so I know that this graph is going to connect here. And the asymptotes give me the end behavior. If it's a horizontal asymptote, that means what's happening as I continue to go to the far left, and what happens as I continue to go to the far right. And then the vertical asymptotes give me the middle behavior, and it approaches those on either side. So these are smooth curves. They're not going to be like bouncy or jumpy or anything. So I start connecting the points that I have and then take my end behavior from there. Now, if I'm going into that, so my left-hand region on this graph was covered by the points that were given. On the right-hand side, there aren't any points given, which means that it can't be this lower piece because it can't cross this axis, and it's got to approach the asymptote. So it can only be this upper piece. Okay, so you just sort of have to work with what you have. And sometimes it just doesn't seem like it's enough there, but when you start to put it all together, again, the way things have to look, I know this has to cut through here and approach. It can't cut through this way, the opposite way, because it has to approach this horizontal asymptote on the far right. And on the far left, same thing. Like I can't cut through here because there's no opening there. So it's got to approach here and approach the asymptote over here. And they're just these little curves. Now, as for the middle, I know these two pieces have to connect. Where does it go from here? Well, this isn't going to jerk back down. That doesn't work like that. What's the smooth flow? My smooth flow would be that this continues up and then this continues down. It can't curve back up because, again, it doesn't have another opening. And it can't curve back up and cross through here because it can't pass the vertical asymptote. You can cross through a horizontal, not a vertical. When you get to graphs where you're down to, like you only have a point on it, it's kind of the same thing, where in this next graph, I have this point, and again, I maybe could go down, except for there's no opening for it to cross the x-axis. So for this point, it's got to go up and approach. And the only thing that makes sense is for this next part to approach. Again, it can't go down because eventually it's going to have to come back up, and there aren't any openings for it to do that. Same with on the right-hand side. I can't be in the bottom portion because of the no opening for the intercept. So I can only be in the upper portion on this graph, okay? Some of them get a little funny, and so I'm going to show you something that might happen that's a little bit different. So like in the next one, in problem, I don't know if I gave you time to look at that, but in problem number 4, in the fourth sort of example, again, I have these 2 points, and I know that they have to connect. It can't drop back down. It's got to swing up because they don't ricochet off. There's no jagged turns in it. So these 2 points have to connect. There's no other way for them to connect. So now what about from this point here? how is this going to approach the asymptote? Well, here's where it's not going to be a jagged turn. It's just going to be this slow curve that comes back up and approaches. We're just doing sketches, so these aren't going to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to approach the way they need to approach. It's going to approach the asymptotes, whether it's a vertical asymptote and it approaches to positive infinity or negative infinity, or a horizontal asymptote where it will hover below or above. This could potentially even come back up and swing back down and hover above, but it's not going to cross this axis, and we don't care about that. That's a minor detail that we're not going through all of that detail. We just want to sketch. So over on the other portion of this, the only place I have to graph again is in that lower left hand. It can't cross the axis. So here's another kind of funky one. The last one I'll sort of show you, and I hope this helps. I'm not whatever. Doing the best I can here. So here, I have to think about these 2 points. If I go and curve down here below and connect them, then this is going to have to come up and back down to approach the end, the horizontal asymptote, and it can't. So the only thing that makes sense is this piece has to go in this direction. Again, I can't cross the axis unless I'm given permission. So then this is going to have to come and swing through. I know that's a little bit weird, but it's the only thing that can happen. Again, because I have to approach this asymptote on the far right, and on the far, or in the middle here at the vertical asymptote, it's either got to go up or down, and I just sort of go with whichever, the way the smooth sort of flow goes. So then I have to finish off the rest of this. It can't be up here because it doesn't cross the axis. There's no place for it to cross on the X and the Y axis, so this has to be here. And there's no rule, again, that says they can't go in the same direction on both sides. In fact, we saw some in our notes yesterday that did. So just sort of put it together, look for the clues. If something doesn't seem like you're going to be able to put it together, I know harsh words, but you maybe did something wrong. So just go back and check your work and see if you can come up with something. I really hope that helps. I hope this video works. And if you have any more questions, just let me know. Talk to you later. Bye.